Good day. Hey, today we're going to look at run-on sentences and fragments. So we're going to look at avoiding fragments and run-ons. So let's go ahead and begin. Avoiding fragments and run-ons. Well, one way of doing, why do we want to avoid this? Well, writing clear and concise sentences takes time and effort. And anyone can write a confusing, unclear sentence. So we're trying to make sure that our sentences are something that are easily understood, that are inviting to the reader. And if you have fragments and run-ons, you just can't do that. Both sentence fragments and run-on sentences confuse the readers. They're left wondering why. What are you talking about? What's going on? So we really need to try and not confuse the reader. And by learning to identify and correct these problems, your writing can improve quickly and easily. So we're going to look at improving our sentences. So, avoiding fragments and run-ons. What is a fragment? Well, this is an example of a fragment. Threw a baseball. But we're left wondering, who threw the baseball? Did it just throw itself? I don't think it did. So we're missing something. Here's another fragment. Mark and his friends. Well, what about them? What did they do? Is it just Mark and his friends? Did they just float in air? Were they playing a video game? What were they doing? Around the corner. Well, who is around the corner? What happened? Is there a cat around the corner? Is there a dinosaur around the table? I don't know. Well, that's what a fragment is it leaves questions. So if we take a look at this very first one, threw the baseball. Who threw the baseball? Technically what's going on is you're missing a subject. Mark and his friends? Well, what about them? You're missing the verb or the predicate. And around the corner? Who is? You're missing the subject. And what happened? You're missing the predicate. So this is just kind of an idea, but without a subject or without a predicate. So, a fragment technically is a group of words that does not express a complete thought. It's missing something. Something important is missing, and you're left wondering what this is about or what happened. These are the things that you usually end up wondering. And remember, if you need to stop this video at any time to complete your sentences, to complete your notes, please make sure you do so. So, a fragment may be missing a subject. Threw the baseball. Who threw the baseball? We don't know. It's that magical person. A fragment may be missing the verb or the predicate. Mark and his friends. Well, what about Mark and his friends? What did they do? Did they just sit there, like I said, and float in air? Did they fight dragons? We don't know because it's missing the predicate or the verb. A fragment may be missing both, and that's where around the corner was. Who was around the corner? You needed the subject. What happened around the corner? The sentence doesn't make any sense. So it's technically not a real sentence. It's just a part of a sentence. You can correct fragments by adding the missing part of speech. If you're missing a subject, you put in the subject. If you're missing the verb or predicate, Put in a verb or predicate. Add a subject. Rob threw the baseball. Who threw the baseball? Rob threw the baseball. And that corrected that fragment. You can add a verb. Mark and his friends, what did they do? They laughed. Now you have a complete thought. Or you can add both. A dog ran around the corner. What happened around the corner? A dog ran. Now it's a complete sentence. So let's practice. In this sentence, or is this a sentence or a fragment? Delivered newspaper in the rain. Please circle your choice. Is this a sentence or is this a fragment? Well, if you said it was a fragment, good job. It is a fragment. It is missing a subject. You could correct it by adding a subject. Tyler delivered newspapers in the rain. That would make it a complete sentence. Let's try another one. This time, I want you, if it is a fragment, I want you to add the missing piece. Okay? So, is this a sentence or a fragment? Kevin and his dog. Is this a sentence or is this a fragment? Well, circle your choice, and if it is a fragment, change the sentence. Kevin and his dog. Well, if you went and selected sentence, oh, I'm sorry, it's a fragment. It's missing a verb. You could correct it by adding a verb. Kevin and his dog went for a walk. That would make it a complete sentence. If you said it is a fragment, you're correct. Let's try another one. On Monday, we went outside for recess. Is this a sentence or is this a fragment? If it's a fragment, please correct the sentence. On Monday, we went outside. Well, one of the things you can do is you can say, hey, does it have all its pieces? Does it have a subject? Well, we is the subject. Does it have a verb or a predicate? Went. We went. And is it a complete thought? We went outside for recess. On Monday, we went outside for recess. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a complete sentence. It has the subject and it has the verb. Good job. So, a run-on sentence. A run-on sentence is two thoughts put together in the same sentence. Now you might be thinking, but Miss Adams, last week we just got done talking about complex sentences and compound sentences. This is true. You can put two independent clauses together to make a sentence. But make sure when you do that, you add a fanboy, a comma and a fanboy. That way, it wouldn't be a run-on sentence. Let's take a look. So a run-on sentence is two thoughts put together in the same sentence. The two ideas may or may not be related, meaning they could be talking about the same thing or they could be talking about two totally different things. A run-on can be fixed by adding proper punctuation to separate the two complete thoughts. Here are 3 examples of run-on sentences. Tyler delivered newspaper in the rain. He got very wet. Even reading this, you kind of can feel yourself know that it's a run-on sentence. You kind of feel that natural need to take a breath, and that's where you should probably put punctuation. Tyler delivered newspapers in the rain. He got very wet. Right there, you know that you should probably put some sort of punctuation, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Kevin and his dog went for a walk. It was a beautiful day. Again, you almost can feel when you read it out loud or read it to yourself that there's need for a break in there. And on Monday, we went outside for recess. It was fun. Again, you almost feel the natural pause. So let's take a look at how to fix these. So there are 3 ways to correct a run-on sentence. First is add a period and a capital letter. This way you're splitting up the two ideas and making them independent clauses on their own. Adding a period and a capital letter. The second way is to add a semicolon. Again, if you want to keep them, say the thoughts are kind of related, you can always add a semicolon, and that is the dot with a comma underneath it. That is what a semicolon is. Or you can add a comma and a conjunction. That's when you start making a compound sentence. Ready? But it has to have that comma and conjunction. You just can't put those two together and say, with a comma, and say, hey, we're good to go. So let's take a look. Let's correct a sentence using a period and a capital letter. So here we have the first one. Tyler delivered newspaper in the rain. He got very wet. This is an incorrect or a wrong sentence. It's a run-on. So what I want you to do is I want you to put the period and the capital letter where you think it belongs. Tyler delivered newspapers in the rain. He got very wet. So the correction would be like this. Tyler delivered newspapers in the rain. Period. Capitalize H in he got very wet. This is the right way to write this sentence. Again, could we have put a semicolon here? The period, the period with a comma under it. We could have if we wanted to. Okay? But this would have been the right way to do it. The sentences are kind of related, but not exactly. Let's try another one. Let's correct a sentence using a semicolon. Kevin and his dog went for a walk. It was a beautiful day. We know that this is incorrect. We know that it is a run-on sentence. So let's use a semicolon to see if we can put it together and make it a good sentence. So pick where you think you should put a semicolon. Okay, here we go. Kevin and his dog went for a walk. Semicolon. It was a beautiful day. This is now a correct sentence and it's not a run-on. This punctuation is telling everybody to take a breath, pause for just a second, because we're going to continue on with another idea. Let's correct a sentence using a comma and a conjunction. Remember our conjunctions, fanboys. On Monday, we went outside for recess. It was fun. We know that this was a run-on, so let's go ahead and correct it using a comma and a conjunction. Okay. On Monday, we went outside for recess, comma, and it was fun. Now, this is a correct sentence. It has the comma, and it has a fanboy, a conjunction. This makes it a correct sentence. So, let's do some practicing. The kids had a snack. They ate too much. This is a sentence. Is this a sentence or a run-on? Select it. If it is a run-on, I want you to correct it with one of the three ways. The kids had a snack. They ate too much. Okay. Do you think it's a sentence? Sorry, it's a run-on. It has two separate thoughts with no punctuation to separate them. Let's correct it with a period and a capital letter. The kids had a snack. They ate too much. The kids had a snack, period, capital letter, they ate too much. That would have been the correct way for us to take a look at it. So let's try another one. The couple danced. They fell in love. Is this a sentence or is this a run-on sentence? Make your choice. If you think it's a run-on, congratulations, you're absolutely correct. Let's see how we were supposed to fix it. It does have, we're going to correct it with a comma and a conjunction. The couple danced, they fell in love. So the couple danced, comma, and is the conjunction, they fell in love. Let's try another one. Is this a sentence or a run-on? If it is a run-on, please correct it. The pizza was hot. It smelled so good. Do you think it's a run-on? You're correct. It is a run-on. How would we fix it? Well, we can fix it with a semicolon. The pizza was hot. Semicolon. It smelled so good. Good job. Now that you've mastered identifying fragments and run-ons, let's practice correcting them. Here's a quick reminder. Fragments need either a subject, a verb, or both. Run-ons need a period and capital letter, a semicolon, or a comma and conjunction. So let's practice. Which answer could you add to correct the fragment? Quickly ducked behind the door. Choose the one that you think would work best. Well, if you take a look at this is definitely missing something. So if you said Thomas at the beginning, you're absolutely correct. Thomas is what's needed. The quickly ducked behind the door. We want to know who did it. Thomas did it. So Thomas quickly ducked behind the door. Good job. Susan and Connie quietly. Well, it's a fragment, but what's needed? Make your selection. Well, the first thing you need to do, you need to ask yourself, what is it missing? Susan and Connie quietly. Well, we've got the subject, Susan and Connie, and they quietly did something, but what did they quietly do? We're missing the subject. And to me, it would be waited for lunch. Did what? What is their action? We needed that verb. So let's fix some run-ons. First, you'll be given a run-on. Then you'll see 3 choices. Only one choice is a correct way to fix a run-on. So you have to pick the one that fixes it correctly. Let's get started. The sunset was beautiful. We sat and watched. Make a choice of which one you think would be the correct answer. All right, so let's look at our choices. The sunset was beautiful. We sat and watched it. Remember, a comma says that you need to take a brief pause. And then it's giving you a conjunction. It kind of doesn't sound right. The sunset was beautiful. We sat and watched it. I don't think that's the right one. The sunset was beautiful. We sat and watched it. Well, that's possible. We have a period, and here's our capital letter. They both make complete sentences. That might be it. The sunset was beautiful. We sat and watched it. It has a comma, but remember, if we use a comma, we also need to use a conjunction. And there's no conjunction between we and the comma. So I would say the correct answer is the middle one. We definitely needed a period and a capital letter. Good job. The students took a test. It was very hard. Make your selection. Okay, let's take a look. The students took a test, but it was very hard. Does this actually use one of our methods? Well, they have a comma. They have a fanboy. Oh, this is a possibility. So let's take a look. The students took a test, but it was very hard. We're missing something. If we're using a fanboy, we have to have that comma. The students took a test. It was very hard. Well, here's the comma, but it's missing the fanboy. So I would have to say that it would be the first one. Okay, comma and a conjunction. You have to have both. Good job. The boys ordered pizza, and they didn't want olives on it. The boys ordered pizza. They didn't want olives on it. Make your choice. Okay, let's take a look at the choices. The boys ordered a pizza, but they didn't want olives on it. So they're saying that we just needed to add a fanboy. But what's missing? Do you see it? The boys ordered a large pizza. They didn't want olives on it. Well, the only thing they did was they put in a describing word for pizza. Did it change it? Not really. You still have a run-on sentence on the second one. The boys ordered pizza, semicolon. They didn't want olives on it. Well, that's the only one that's using one of the three ways of correcting a run-on sentence. So I would say that it is the last one. Again, there's your semicolon. And that's the end of our slideshow. There are some assignments for you to do regarding this, and have a great day. Thank you.